Welcome back, folks. Live reading time. It's a Friday where I am. It's the end of the working week for everyone with a day job. And I thought I'd play something a little bit more relaxing to kick us off. Just one chapter today, Massive Erections. It's actually what it says. Massive Erections. Laban, what are you thinking with these outrageous chapter titles? For those who are joining me for the first time, my name is Laban Ditchburn, and I am the proud author of Bet On You, my memoir self-help book of conquering drink and drugs and gambling and philandering and limiting beliefs and negative self-talk. I lost a shitload of weight, put on a heap of muscle, and started running ultra marathons and found the woman of my dreams and got my shit sorted. And I've been reading chapter or two at a time, straight from the book. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you for the lovely feedback. I haven't had any trolls or any haters so far. They must be enjoying it. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. So. Chapter 10, Massive Erections. So yesterday we followed off with the bacterial meningitis that nearly killed me as a nearly 4-year-old and the associated recovery. Fast forward a few more years. Massive Erections. You would think I'd be done with extreme needles by now, but I received another lumbar puncture 17 years later whilst living and working in Bangkok, Thailand. One rare Saturday off work, I was playing a nuggety halfback position for a local tennis-side rugby team. At nearly 100% humidity and 43 degrees Celsius, which is about 109 Fahrenheit, in case you're curious, the official temperature was rated hotter than a camel's ass. My game came to a premature finish after I collapsed from heat exhaustion. I awoke to find both my legs covered in hundreds of fire ants. I now understand how they get their name. Somehow I played well enough to win man of the match, although in hindsight maybe they felt bad for my unconsciousness. I went out that night to celebrate with my victorious teammates and we all got blind drunk, mainly on locally made Carlsberg that was preserved with a formaldehyde formula and whole bottles of Jack Daniels mixed with cola and hopefully purified ice. After drinking myself into yet another expat-level stupor, I jumped in my chauffeured Toyota driven by one Mr. Kong. Mr. Kong, my driver, was a 55-year-old Thai man who stood about 55 inches tall. Many times he would proclaim in his best yet broken English that he had 5 wives, all of whom he complained about regularly. He worked harder than the 80-plus hours I was working, so I'm buggered if I know how he kept that up. Mr. Kong dropped me home and I fell into bed with all my clothes on and shoes still on, neglecting to switch on the air conditioning. Big mistake. I awoke 10 hours later with my tongue chemically stuck to the roof of my mouth. A quick inspection of the house revealed that I had 0 drinkable water. Tap water was out of the question, as no matter how thirsty I was, dysentery was never worth it. As I trudged down to the local convenience store, I noticed a sharp pain at the base of my spine. Hangovers were bad enough, but when you add weapon-grade soreness to your coccyx, it becomes a brutal combination. I had a tourist friend, Tim, arrive from overseas that night, so I swallowed some weird over-the-counter painkillers and grimaced my way through the day. Tim was knackered from his flight, so we had an early dinner of locally made Khao Pat Gai, pronounced Khao Pat Gai. I've never seen a Gai Pat cow. I've seen a Gai Pat cow, but never in reverse, and went to bed. A vivid nightmare tore through my melatonin-soaked subconscious. I was in a fight for my life against a knight of the round table. In this matchup, I swung my Excalibur, and it glanced off my arch nemesis's armour with a shower of sparks and dug itself into the dirt. He countered with a shield edge straight to my helmet. It knocked me onto my knees. The Dark Knight seized his moment and effortlessly pierced my exposed lower back with his broadsword, severing my spinal cord in two. The paralysis woke me from my medieval hell, and the first thing I noticed was the cool breeze from the air conditioning, but I was soaked in sweat from head to toe. Something wasn't right. Ouch! Why did my back still hurt so badly that I wanted to rip my spinal cord from the surrounding sinew and ligaments with my bare hands? I hopped into the shower bath, and enjoyed some momentary relief as the warm water seemed to help. I remembered I still had some weird pain medication and gulped down what remained. By morning, the pain was at DEFCON 1 and I needed serious medical intervention. I arranged for Mr. Kong to pick me up and drive me straight to Bum Run Grad Hospital, which means to nurture the people and not diarrhea while jogging like I originally assumed. It's a beautiful 5-star hospital used by wealthy Thais and expats for all things medical, but especially boob jobs and porcelain veneers. I was rushed to see the orthopaedic surgeon, as we all assumed it was a lower back injury from the weekend's game. The orthopaedic surgeon quickly referred me to the general surgeon after poking my tailbone with his stiff index finger. The ensuing pain nearly killed me, and it changed the diagnosis simultaneously. A pilonidal abscess was found, basically a severely infected hair follicle right next to my anus. The good news, they could operate on it immediately. Simply pay $5,000 and we can do it right away, Mr. Ditchburn. That was more than 2 months' wages for me, which I did not have. But not to worry. As part of my contract, my employer was entrusted to provide me adequate private health care and a suitable working visa. It turns out neither existed when I needed them most. When my tourist visa was about to expire, I had to be driven to a shonky part of Pat Pong Market and leave it for 2 days with some guy whose immigration office was located between a strip joint and a brothel. When I picked up my passport, it showed arrival and departure stamps to a country to which I'd never been, Malaysia. I called my boss and basically threatened him. The company needed to sort this out, or they would have to pay $5,000 to send my bloody casket back to New Zealand after I died. Talk about leverage. The answer will always be no if you never ask the question, and finally common sense was seen and the money was paid. If you're squeamish, turn away now. A pus-filled and swollen 2 by 2 inch hole was drained with expert medical precision and an extra small cordless vacuum cleaner. Had they gone any deeper, they basically would have dug me a spare rectum. Rectum? Damn near killed him. I had pain relief this time in the form of an epidural. Yes, the same injection given to women in labour. A practice Western medicine avoids where possible, as there is an associated risk of accidental paralysis if it goes wrong. I still remember the crunching noise it made when the long sharp needle was inserted into the fluid surrounding my spine. Gross. Call me weird, but I've always rather enjoyed the whole experience of being operated on. I'm not sure why. However, the whole experience was made a whole lot funnier after I politely requested to huff on the medical-grade nitrous oxide in the operating room. The nurse suggested I take small, shallow breaths. I took long, deep ones. I laughed my heart out for the 30 minutes it took to complete this procedure. By the end, the rest of the surgical team had joined in via osmosis. After comedy hour had worn off, I was wheeled off to the recovery room. My torso was still very numb from the drugs, and I was left on my back to let the numbing agent wear off. Within 15 minutes, 2 female trainee nurses approached my bedside to check up on my progress. One nurse stood at the foot of my bed and inspected my chart while the other one grabbed at the warm blanket placed over me. After peeling my bedsheet back, she revealed my nudeness to the world. Shocked, they both giggled embarrassingly before quickly replacing the sheet and disappearing off to another ward. Curious to know what was so humorous, I lifted my sheet and revealed one very numb yet proudly erect penis. Unbeknownst to me at the time, one of the side effects of epidurals in men is quite literally a massive erection. The more you know. Laban's random lessons. Don't fall asleep at the nude beach. No need to explain that one. Laughter really is the best medicine. Thailand really is a brilliant country to visit. It really is. And in life, sometimes you need to rely on your intuition and say yes to something you've never done before. Just because all this madness happened to me over there doesn't mean for a minute that I would have changed my decision to accept the job offer. Many of the bad situations I've ended up in were due to the deliberate ignoring of my own gut instinct. Try listening to yours next time and see what happens. Yeah, I got the job when I was 20. I was stupidly underqualified for what was required, and I arrived in Bangkok. I knew nothing about it. This was in 2000, the year 2000. And, the internet didn't have any search function really of any significance back then. All I knew about Thailand was that it was hot and they had AIDS. Like that was the limit of my obnoxious knowledge. And there was a cartel that had been operating with all the moving companies. I worked for a relocation company. And there was a cartel that had been price fixing for years and years. And it collapsed, like shortly before I got there. And, God, I had no idea. No, I remember getting a phone call from some poor woman who's the wife of an executive at Pepsi, I think, who was moving from Bangkok back to Europe somewhere. And I think in all the madness of being unwell and getting operated on and stuff, I neglected to put through the order to ship their urgent goods that they required via air freight. And if you ever see this lady, I'm sorry. Oh man, that was funny. Well, look, thank you again for joining me and for being with me during this. Any comments or thoughts or ideas that you have, please make them known on whatever platform you're listening to this. And stay tuned for what will be Chapter 11, which is a favourite of many, called Las Vegas Lay. So we'll do that probably next week, depending on what my schedule looks like. But I think maybe Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time might be pretty good next week. If you're not having a great day, I'd encourage you to do so. And if you are, well, keep up the good work, would you?